Stan Gibilisco here. A couple of days ago, 1 or 2 days ago, I made a video regarding prescription drug addiction. And originally I intended not to leave comments open. I normally do not because I get so many snide and inappropriate comments. But for some reason, I inadvertently left comments open, and almost immediately I began to get responses, and without exception, each and every response to that video has been enlightening and gratifying, and some of them have reminded me that I must always count my blessings. When I was living in St. Paul, Minnesota, you might gather by now that I've kind of lived a roving life, and that is true. It was, it was 1991. I lived in the St. Paul Athletic Club building in downtown St. Paul, Minnesota. In retrospect, I wouldn't mind living in that kind of an arrangement again if I had the opportunity. But at that time, it seemed like just the poorest of the poor. Actually, it was not a bad place at all. And one of my fellow floor mates there, inmates, what are you going to call them? Guests in the hotel. It was like living in one of those New York hotels. In Gramercy Park or something like that. It really was, but much less expensive. But and not as glamorous. But what are you going to do with all that glamour? I had stuff to do, and I did it, and it was okay. A friend down the hall was a lawyer. I had a senator living next door to me. I mean, this was not a low-class place, and I was having problems with a publisher at the time. Someone had told me that publisher was cheating its authors out of royalties. It was not the publisher, by the way, that you will find when you look on Amazon.com now. So I will set that record straight. It was not them. In any case, I thought I was an insider told me, "Oh yes, you are being cheated out of royalties. You're getting paid a whole lot less than what you're supposed to be getting." And I exploded when I read that. I'd long suspected it, and I thought, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? Sue? And I talked to this attorney, and we were having supper, and he said, maybe you ought to count your blessings. And I just about flipped. It never occurred to me that I was living such an enviable life. And with all of the difficulties with prescription drugs that I have had in the last couple of years, pain medications and anxiety medications in particular, and all of the pain and anxiety that I imagine that I've had, I go into the Deadwood Recreation Center to do swim my daily mile. Oh, poor crippled old me, right? And almost invariably, somebody's talking about a surgery they've had or some kind of major thing that's happened in their life. And all around me, I have begun to learn, and from some of these comments too, that in fact, I'm pretty easy. I've got it pretty easy when it comes to problems, and maybe I ought to count my blessings. I have a house of my own. I can overlook one of the most interesting towns, getting to be one of the most interesting towns in the world, with Sanford Underground Research Facility, where they do things like look at neutrinos from outer space, or somehow or another it's kind of classified. I don't really know what goes on down there, but of all the places I could have chosen to live, it just happened that this place was it. Kind of reminds me of Kona in Hawaii, where they had that observatory up on the mountain. And some ordinary-looking guys were down there in the ham radio club, and one of them was one of the radio astronomers up at that observatory, that radio telescope. You never know who you're talking to. You never know what these ordinary folks that are all around you, you never know who they are. And you never know what kind of problems they have. And I've discovered that, in fact, I'm one pretty doggone lucky guy. And I should count my blessings. And as for the pain, sometimes I've found that there is no pill. There is no magic bullet for certain kinds of pain that just come with living. Sometimes pain can be an indicator of a serious problem. Sometimes pain can just be there, just an annoyance. You can never really know the difference, but there's always the option that you can just suck it up. I can just suck it up. And sometimes I just have to suck up the pain and anxiety because all of the remedies that they offer are worse. So I sucked up that royalty controversy. I did nothing about it. I just ate it. That was in 1990. I suppose I could have sued, you know. The lawyer could have said, oh, you've got to sue these people. And in fact, another lawyer said that I should. But this particular lawyer said, and he was a friend and a confidant and a pretty good guy, and he said, count your blessings. So I did. If it wasn't for that lawyer's advice, I probably never would have written all the books you see on Amazon by me today. I would have sued, and I would have consumed myself with rage and self-pity. Just a fork in the road, and by the grace of my higher powers, I took the right one. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but time and chance happeneth to us all. Stan Gibilisco signing off. Until next time, so long.